Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear sirs, welcome back again. I'm Nadeem from JK College. Today we are going to discuss the class 12th, chapter number 15, organic compounds. My topic is detection of elements in organic compounds. Actually, this is the one of the topic of your practical as well, but let me discuss it briefly here. Uh, Organic compounds have many elements. Mainly, organic compounds have carbon, then hydrogen. It may have nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and halogens. So, how to detect these elements? So, let us proceed. First of all, we take detection of carbon and hydrogen. So I shall take these two elements first. How to detect whether the given organic compounds have carbon or not, and similarly it has hydrogen or not. So this is detected here. So what you have to do for this, take a test tube and put organic compound in it. For example, organic compound may be sugar, maybe urea, maybe glucose. So organic compound I shall call it OC. OC means organic compound plus copper oxide. What is the copper oxide? Actually there is some oxygen here, but this is not enough to completely burn the carbon of organic compound. So in order to provide some extra oxygen, an oxidizing agent like copper oxide is added with the organic compound. So actually this is the mixture of what? Copper oxide and organic compound. Organic compound actually undergoes combustion, and for combustion oxygen is required. Here there is some oxygen, but this oxygen is not enough to completely convert the all the carbon into carbon dioxide. So copper oxide is added here in order to ensure the complete combustion of the organic compound. So what happens actually, you know that carbon when combines with copper oxide, it provides oxygen. So carbon is converted into carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide gas is produced. The gas is produced here. Gas comes through the delivery tube and it comes here. Actually, here in this tube we have taken lime water. Lime water is actually, this is a lime water, and what is its color? It is colorless. Lime water has no color. Actually this lime water is obtained by dissolving enough lime in water and then filtration. So the filtrate obtained is the lime water and it is colorless. But when we pass carbon dioxide gas through lime water, the lime water turns milky. And this is one of the property of the carbon dioxide gas, that it can turn the lime water milky. How it can turn the lime water milky? Actually carbon dioxide has the formula CO2 and lime has the formula calcium hydroxide. So when we pass carbon dioxide through this is the formula of lime water, we get calcium carbonate, which is insoluble in water. So calcium carbonate is insoluble, so this causes cloudiness or milkiness. So what is what is the reason of the cloudiness or milkiness? Actually insoluble, this is insoluble in water. Actually insoluble calcium carbonate is produced here, which turns the lime water milky. So if the lime water is turned milky, this means this compound contains carbon, otherwise there will be no carbon. Similarly, in the same experiment we can also detect the hydrogen. So how to detect the hydrogen? Let us take for example, hydrogen here is oxidized by the copper oxide. It provides oxygen to hydrogen. So water is produced. So water is the product produced by reaction of copper oxide with the hydrogen. So water is produced. So reaction takes place like this: hydrogen plus copper oxide. It gives us H2O and copper is liberated. So water vapors are produced here. Here they comes through the delivery tube. If you take some cotton and wet cotton soaked into cold water and you rub the cotton soaked in cold water here above at the surface or sides of this delivery tube, so the vapors which are coming here, they will be condensed and you will see some droplets of water. So this is also one of the tests for water. But if you want to have some chemical test, then you have to take a china dish and in china dish put some copper sulfate. For example, this is copper sulfate. What is this? Copper sulfate. But with copper sulfate only CuSO4, copper sulfate. This is without water. This is called anhydrous copper sulfate. This is called anhydrous. Anhydrous means without water. And what is its color? White. But when water comes from this tube, which is produced by the oxidation of hydrogen of the organic compound, or you can just write H. So the hydrogen of the organic compound is oxidized by the copper oxide. Water is produced. When water reaches here, it combines with this copper sulfate to produce copper sulfate pentahydrate 5H2O. Actually 5 water molecules combines with the copper sulfate to produce copper sulfate dot 5H2O. This is called hydrated copper sulfate. This is called hydrated copper sulfate. And you know what is its color? Its color is blue. So when you pass the water vapors which are produced here by the oxidation of hydrogen of the organic compound, when these water vapors reaches here, this is the anhydrous copper sulfate which is white color. This anhydrous copper sulfate will turn blue. So when it turns blue, this means indicating that anything which was coming from the top was water. So this is a test for water. So what the water can does? Water can turn anhydrous copper sulfate which is a white color into hydrated copper sulfate which is blue color. So when copper sulfate turns from white into blue, this means the copper sulfate is combined with water. So this is a test for water. So students, now we are going to discuss the detection of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens. We have discussed the detection of carbon and hydrogen. Now we are proceeding towards detection of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens. Halogens mean chlorine, bromine, iodine and etc. So what we have to do this for this purpose, you have to first of all, in order to perform the test for these elements, we have to prepare a special solution which is called lysine solution. It is also called sodium extract. So preparation of lysine solution or sodium extract is the first step for detection of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens in organic compounds. So how to prepare Lysine solution, or it is also called sodium extract? We have to proceed as. There is a very small tube in our labs, normally what we call fusion tube. We call it fusion tube. So this is the fusion tube, which is a small size, around about an inch in length and very small diameter. We have to take that small glass tube, which is called fusion tube, and into this fusion tube we add a small piece of sodium metal. Cut a small piece of sodium metal and put it into fusion tube. So then fix the fusion tube into test tube holder. This is the test tube holder. You know, this is the iron clip, and here we hold the test tube, but this is very small, so hold it here between the arms of the clips. So this is the sodium here, small piece of, and the size of this sodium may be half of the size of pea, matar, ada matar ka dana. So this will be about the half of the size of pea. So here, then what we have to do, when we put a small piece of sodium in it, then start heating. So when we start heating it under the spirit lamp or Bunsen burner, whatever do you have in your lab, the sodium piece will melt. It will melt when it then add the desired organic compound which you are going to test for various elements. For example, you have glucose or some other organic compound, or urea or thiourea, in which you are detecting nitrogen, sulfur or something else. So add the organic compound here over the molten sodium. Then again heat it. When this becomes red hot, then take 20 ml or 20 centimeter cube of distilled water in a china dish and place the red hot fusion tube into this. This is water, cold water, so fusion tube breaks by contraction. So due to the contraction it breaks, so then grind it well and heat it for some time, about 5 minutes, or warm it, but not this very strong heating must be carried out. So warm it and with continuous stirring, and ultimately filter it through filter paper. This is the filter paper, this is the funnel, and when you filter out this solution here, the filtrate obtained here is called, this is called Lysine solution. This is called Lysine solution. So now we will use this Lysine solution for the test of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens. So why we were going to prepare the Lysine solution? Actually, most of the organic compounds are non-polar. When they are non-polar, they are insoluble in water. So it's impossible to carry out their reactions, their test in aqueous medium, I mean in water. So we have to convert the covalent bond system of organic compounds into ionic bond system. So in order to convert the covalent bonds, which are water insoluble, into ionic bonds which are water soluble. So when an organic compound which is covalent, normally insoluble in water, when you react it with the sodium, its covalent bond system converts into ionic bond system. So ionic compounds are, they are mostly soluble. So organic compound is converted into ionic compound, and ionic compounds are mostly soluble in water. So they get dissolved in water, and then we can test easily it with an aqueous medium or in water. So this is the main purpose of the preparation of Lysine solution. So Lysine solution here is obtained. It is also called sodium extract. Divide this sodium extract into 3 parts. So for example, one part is used for the detection of nitrogen, you will use the next part for the detection of sulfur, and the third part will be used for the detection of halogens. Now how to do, what to do, let us proceed. Now students, we are going to discuss the test for nitrogen. How to detect the nitrogen in organic compound. So we have discussed that how to prepare Lysine solution. So take some Lysine solution. LS means Lysine solution or sodium extract, which we have prepared. Now take one part of that Lysine solution and add some NaOH in order to make it alkaline. So add NaOH, sodium hydroxide in it, then add ferrous sulfate. But remember that this ferrous sulfate must be freshly prepared. Otherwise, the ferrous is converted into ferric by the atmospheric oxygen. If you prepare it and store it for a very long time, the ferrous may convert into ferric even by the air. So always utilize the freshly prepared ferrous sulfate, otherwise you will not get the desired results. Then add ferric chloride, FeCl3, and finally the hydrochloric acid, which is HCl. So when you carried out these steps, after the addition of hydrochloric acid, if blue or greenish blue, which is also called Prussian blue, precipitate, what we call PPT, or coloration. So blue or greenish blue, also called Prussian blue, precipitate or coloration, if this is obtained, this means that organic compound which we have taken contain nitrogen. Okay, so what type of reactions actually takes place, these are given in your book. You can check out here. Please focus. Look at this. Sodium combines with carbon. Actually, we have used sodium in while the preparation of Lysine solution. Combines with carbon and nitrogen to form sodium cyanide. Okay, so when sodium cyanide is prepared, you know the same sodium cyanide reacts in the next step. 6NaCN, the same sodium cyanide which is prepared in the first step, it reacts in the next step with ferrous sulfate. Here, this was the ferrous sulfate, the sodium cyanide which is produced in Lysine solution. It has sodium cyanide and it reacts with the ferrous sulfate. So it produces sodium hexacyanoferrate, Na4FeCN6. This complex is produced. Then when this complex is produced, it is allowed to react with the ferric chloride. Look at this, an acidic medium, so acid was added. We get this compound, and the blue or greenish blue or Prussian blue color is due to the formation of this compound Fe4FeCN6 whole thrice. So the Prussian blue color is due to the production of this complex. So remember that if both nitrogen and sulfur are present in an organic compound, for example, if you can take this example, NH2, C double bond O, NH2. Students, this is the formula of urea. This is an organic compound which contains nitrogen. This is called urea. It is also present in animal urine. For example, if you take this compound for the test, you will get Prussian blue or greenish blue precipitate or color. But if you take such a compound which contain both nitrogen and sulfur, for example, if I use sulfur here, this is called thiourea. Sorry, this is NH2. NH2. Such compound is called thiourea. It has sulfur instead of oxygen. So it contains both sulfur and nitrogen. For this purpose, then instead of Prussian blue, we will get blood red PPT, blood color precipitate, blood red color precipitate. So no difference between these two reactions, just difference is this. Here what was produced? Sodium cyanide. Here NaSCN, sodium thiocyanide is produced, just NCN. And similarly, all the steps are same. Instead, just what is the difference? CN is replaced by CNS, cyanate. Okay? Sodium thiocyanide. CNS also called thiocyanide. So CN is replaced by CNS. So its color will be what? Red, blood red PPT. So Prussian blue PPT is obtained. This means this organic compound contain just nitrogen like urea. But if both a compound have both sulfur and nitrogen both, then we will not get Prussian blue color, but we will get blood red color. And the difference between these two reactions is just that in above reactions where we were detecting nitrogen, cyanide was there, here thiocyanide, SCN is present instead of CN, while the rest of all reactions are same. So now how to detect the sulfur in an organic compound? So we have divided, if you remember that, we have divided the Lysine solution into three parts. One part was utilized for the detection of nitrogen. Now with the second part of the Lysine solution, add little acetic acid. So when you take the Lysine solution in a test tube, add acetic acid and boil it. So to remove excess of you can say H2S gas. So when H2S gas is released, then take a lead acetate paper, place it on the mouth of the test tube. For example, this is the test tube. Okay, you have taken the Lysine solution, add acetic acid, add acetic acid and then boil it. So what is released? Hydrogen sulfide, H2S is released. The vapors of H2S goes out. So bring a lead acetate paper here. So if the wet lead acetate paper is turned black, this means this organic compound contains sulfur, otherwise not. So how to detect the sulfur? So sulfur will convert the lead acetate paper black. How? Actually, in H2S, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur is in form of sulfide ions. So, but in water, it will be in form of S-2 sulfide ion, which react with the acetic acid, CH3COOH is the formula of acetic acid. It releases what? Hydrogen sulfide, H2S. And this H2S then react with the lead of the lead acetate paper. Okay, so hydrogen sulfide combines with the acetate and lead, and this acetate and lead both are present on the lead acetate paper. So it forms lead sulfide, PBS, lead sulfide, and this lead sulfide has black color. That's why it has turned the lead acetate paper black. Why it turns black? Because lead sulfide PBS is produced, which is a black PPT. That's why the paper was turned black. So this indicates the presence of sulfur. Now we know that we had divided the Rasayan solution into three parts. So what to do with the rest of the parts? We utilize the third part for the test of halogens. Halogens are represented by X. X means fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. In sodium extract, X combines with sodium to form sodium NaX, sodium halide. For example, if chlorine was there in organic compound, it will combine with sodium in Rasayan solution and will form sodium chloride. If bromine was there, here we will obtain sodium bromide. If iodine was there, then we will obtain the sodium iodide. So now take the third part of the Rasayan solution and add nitric acid. When you add the nitric acid, if there is some cyanide ions or sulfide ions, they are present. Okay, so these are removed. Okay, so then after the addition of the nitric acid, then add silver nitrate solution, AgNO3. When you add AgNO3, for example, if chloride ion is there and you add AgNO3, so silver ion will combine with the chloride ion to form AgCl. And AgCl is the silver chloride and it has white color. It has white color. So by the addition of silver nitrate solution to Rasayan solution, if white PPT is obtained, this means there is chlorine here. If half white PPT is obtained, then remember that there will be bromine. So instead of, if bromide ions are there, then AgBr will be obtained and it has some pale yellow, or you can say half white color PPT. But if bright yellow color PPT is obtained, bright color yellow color PPT is obtained, that will indicate the presence of iodide ions. Okay, so now if we go to the next page after the test of halogens, detection of oxygen is not directly detected, but it's detected indirectly. Detection of metals, there are few small topics given. This is your homework, you must do it by yourself. Okay, and if you have some problem, then you can discuss it with me. Inshallah, next time we will start the next chapter, which is the chapter 16, hydrocarbons. So I thank you all for time being. Keep smiling.